We are living in a remarkable era of humanity. With the advancement of science, technology, and engineering, humankind has made tremendous strides in understanding, exploration, and knowledge. We believe the Earth is a spherical planet, part of a system we call the solar system. Countless other concepts grounded in science, like vaccines or the notion of genetic inheritance, shape our worldview. If someone were to tell us today that the Earth is flat, we'd laugh and shake our heads. If someone claimed vaccines are ineffective and cause autism in children, we'd dismiss it with a chuckle. But we are living in an illusion, where things that are unreal seem more tangible than what's right in front of us. Every Sunday, groups of people gather at a central point to listen to sermons about a figure no one has seen, with no way to prove their existence. And when we look up at the sky, we recall the tales our ancestors told of majestic beings with mysterious powers no one could comprehend. Indeed, where there is yin, there is yang. Where there is the unreal, there is the real. But what is real and what is not? When it comes to intelligence, humanity proudly claims to be the smartest species on the planet. Dolphins, pigs, and some other primates might disagree, but they lack the achievements to back their case. So we continue to call ourselves Homo sapiens, the wise ones. But what exactly are we wise about? If we're talking about survival, creatures like tigers and leopards have power. Why is there a blazing orb up there? That's Ra, the god sailing across the world on his boat, ruling over his nations. When he passes beyond those mountains, night falls. The people of the Nile Delta told their children this story to teach them that their god wasn't always in the sky to protect them. When he rested, they needed to hide in their tents before the beasts emerged from the forest. Why is there a gentle glowing orb in the sky? That's Tsukuyomi, the younger brother of the goddess Amaterasu. They were born when their creator father Izanagi wept for his wife. Why don't Tsukuyomi and his sister ever frolic together? Because he offended her, and they parted ways forever. Why can't you go out to sea? Because a giant serpent lives there, so massive it coils around everything. Venture too far and it will devour you. Why can't you go into the forest? Because it's full of monsters and giants. Beyond gods, humans created intangible entities to explain their mistakes. Where did succubi and demons come from? To avoid blame for lust, they attributed it to invisible forces. Humanity. For much of human history, we wandered, gathering and hunting to survive. This long era, spanning hundreds of thousands of years, gave us a rich diet, making us stronger and more resilient over time. Back then, our worries came from nature, claws of beasts or deep chasms drawn by Mother Earth. But then we learned to plant seeds after eating. Agriculture sparked a sudden boom in farming, and with it, the birth of society. Rice crops gave us food security. No longer did we need to battle beasts. Our lifespans grew. With more food, families expanded. With security and prosperity, humans found time for other pursuits, like domesticating animals into livestock. Those skilled in these tasks focused on them, and specialization emerged as society solidified. But this was also when humanity fell into the trap of the god of money. The existence of wealth and specialization led to surplus goods. A cattle herder wouldn't just raise enough for themselves, but for their children and perhaps the next year. A rice farmer did the same, as their wealth depended on weather and time. A vegetable grower planned for their family and the next season. These specialists produced excess for a simple reason: security for themselves and their kin. But what happens when they need something else? Should a herder start farming rice? Should a rice farmer grow vegetables? While the neighbor has cattle, must they herd too? Specialization created disparities in wealth, and from those disparities trade was born. Those needing cattle would trade what they had. Those needing vegetables would do the same. It would be perfect if the cattle herder needed vegetables for their herd while the vegetable grower craved beef. But what if the vegetable grower only wanted rice? Direct barter led to societal complications. It wasn't a stable system, and everyone knew it. Thus, a third unit was needed, a universal representation of all goods. This allowed free trade without worrying if you had what the other wanted. That unit. Money. Money is intangible, yet we offer it to the god of money daily. And ironically, money has no inherent value. We only believe it does. Isn't that how gods thrive, on human faith? Initially, instead of trading cattle, vegetables, or rice directly, everything was valued in rice. A cow might equal 4 bundles of rice, a bunch of vegetables, 1 bundle. Want beef? Trade rice for it. No rice. Trade something else for rice, then get the beef. But when a weaver couldn't find anyone needing cloth to trade for rice, they starved. And they weren't alone. Fruit pickers, chicken farmers, and others struggled to trade for rice. The rice farmer became the wealthiest by default. This system clearly led to chaos. The medium of exchange had to be something no one could monopolize or profit from alone. It had to be rare or inherently valueless to prevent manipulation. Many societies turned to shells, gold, silver, or even paper to record transactions. But the Yap people of a remote island north of New Guinea used massive stone discs called rai to signify wealth. They agreed that larger, older, and harder-to-craft stones held greater value. The wealthiest owned stones too large to move. How did they trade? They simply told each other where their stone was, and the other believed it existed, trading without carrying anything. Truly, a cashless transaction. The Yap created a belief in wealth represented by stones, which to us hold no value, just as our ancestors believed the earth was the universe's center, a belief we now reject. Money's value comes from faith. As long as a society's system sustains that faith, money exists. In other words, as long as we believe in the god of money, it endures. Today's money differs from the Yap stones, but not as much as we think. The paper we hold represents a value society collectively acknowledges. Replace the Yap's words and stones with our paper and bank accounts, and it's the same, a value born of faith. The Yap saying their stone is somewhere on the island is no different from us saying our money is in a bank downtown. It's all about belief. This realization shakes our perception of money's value, but it's also a chance to see things differently. If money in our hands is valueless, where does true value lie? And if money is a trap, what is the god of money ensnaring us with? Since domesticating crops, humanity abandoned the hunter-gatherer life. We no longer watch sunsets after a hunt. Instead, we wiped sweat from our brows after tilling fields. The cattle were in the pen, and we felt secure with sturdy fences. But what stops wolves from leaping over and attacking our carefully raised herd and our wealth? Where do we keep our money safe from greedy hands? A straw hut can't stop thieves. So, to protect our money and possessions, we kept working. First, we grew rice for food. Then we needed labor to keep the crops alive. Having more children solved the labor issue, but feeding them required more rice. A vicious cycle emerged. We needed food, then protection for our wealth. Then more food, then more protection. The more wealth we had, the more protection we needed. Guards were born, new fences were built, locksmiths and builders were paid more. New professions emerged to serve the security needs of the wealthy. Specialization and wealth gaps grew as economies developed. Those without specialized skills fell behind, slipping into poverty. They had to learn from the skilled, making education and literacy more valued. At some point, unnoticed, humans became tools of money. When money commands, we obey. For our own safety, we serve the god of money. The only way to escape this endless servitude is to detach from society. Some do this by kneeling before the god of money, praying for prosperity to lift them from the race for wealth. These are the minority, those with enough money and power to manipulate the game and widen the wealth gap. If you've played Monopoly, you know this is when you own mansions while others just want to go to jail for peace. Others choose the opposite path. Since society is tied to the economy, the only way to escape the economy is to leave society. But this isn't an easy choice for most. So what can we do? Keep playing and let the god of money's blessed followers trample us? or abandon everything and live in the mountains. The latter is too extreme. If we choose the game, how do we play? Thus, humanity used imagination to create gods, crafting ancient tales to explain the world. As we evolved, we created new concepts and new gods to explain them. One such god is the god of money and wealth. Since creating this god, humanity has been trapped in a game of wealth, endlessly offering tributes to win. But it's a trap. Not everyone can win, and not everyone will. So, what do? Perhaps we should learn from our ancestors. When societies and economies were nascent, concepts like ownership and wealth were new. People owned fields or herds. But what happens if the next generation doesn't specialize like their parents? If a rice farmer dies, leaving their land to a weaver, will things go smoothly? Meanwhile, another farmer in the village needs land to cultivate. Like any trade, they have what the other needs. How do they exchange? Direct buying is simplest. They trade money for mutual benefit. But selling land means losing its use if needed later. Thus, renting emerged. Instead of buying land outright, a farmer pays a small sum to use it without owning it. The weaver earns money without effort. Renting is one of many ways money transfers value to its owner. In this case, the land holds value, not the money. As long as the weaver holds the land, they hold value. For others, like cattle herders, renting beef isn't possible, but they can tell others their herd is healthy and valuable, asking to borrow money to buy feed, promising repayment after selling. Selling carries risks, so lenders demand extra payment to cover potential losses. If the sale succeeds, the lender profits. If not, they lose little. These exchanges laid the foundation for investment. Today, these forms persist on a massive scale in stock markets or cryptocurrency exchanges. Buyers don't purchase guaranteed returns but a small piece of a company. If the company profits, their piece grows, yielding more when sold. These are ways the god of money reveals to followers for long-term prosperity. The god of money isn't inherently cruel. Its game is just complex and tricky, leaving many unable to master it and falling into hardship. How do we play this game without danger? There's no way to invest without risk. That's the deception. All investments carry risk, but we can minimize risks to become wiser investors. If we see money as offerings to the god of money, we need scriptures to guide our faith. The Fundamental Principles of Investing is one such scripture. This book compiles basic investment principles and real-world experiences, helping readers learn from practice and uncover money's hidden facets. This is crucial because money is a sensitive topic, and its sensitivity makes anyone vulnerable to those exploiting the god of money's game. There's a clear difference between investing and speculating, concepts often conflated in money discussions. A devout follower's story is working a daily job, hoping for. First, let's travel back in time to the 19th century, when Charles Darwin published his theory of evolution in the book On the Origin of Species in 1859. Darwin argued that all organisms on Earth evolved from simple forms of life through the process of natural selection. This idea revolutionized how we view the biological world, becoming the foundation of modern biology. However, from the very beginning, the theory of evolution faced significant criticisms. Darwin himself admitted in his book that the absence of missing links, that is, intermediate fossils between species, was the most serious objection to his theory. More than 150 years later, science still hasn't found complete chains of these links. For example, between fish and amphibians, or between apes and humans, we only have scattered fragments, not a smooth evolutionary chain. Critics argue that if evolution occurred gradually as Darwin described, the fossil record should be flooded with intermediate forms, but in reality the fossil history shows large gaps, where new species appear suddenly without transitional traces. Some scientists like Stephen Jay Gould proposed the theory of punctuated equilibrium, evolution occurring in short bursts interspersed with long periods of stability, to explain this. But even so, many questions remain. How do we explain the complexity of organs like the human eye or brain without viable intermediate steps? And why, despite modern technology like DNA analysis, do we still lack convincing evidence for transitions between major species? Let's dive deeper into specific criticisms. One of the biggest issues is the missing links problem. Darwin worried that fossils didn't support his theory, and in fact, after more than a century, the gaps still exist. For example, in an article from the Institute for Creation Research, ICR, they argue that we cannot identify ancestors or missing links, and cannot design testable theories to explain how specific evolutionary events occurred. A study from PubMed discusses the missing links issue from past to present, noting that the problem of links and phylogenies at the species and genus level has lessened over the past 120 years, but is still not fully resolved. On Quora, many criticize that the main flaw is Darwin, and his contemporaries not understanding how variations are maintained in populations. Darwin described the lack of missing links as the most serious objection in an article on evolution, education, and outreach. On Reddit, a user argues that Darwin made false assumptions based on observations, claiming that over long periods species evolved from one type of animal to another completely different one. The University of Tasmania discusses discovering the missing link in Darwin's theory of evolution, where he couldn't explain why there are periods of significant growth and periods of little evolution. New research from phys.org shows that recent evolutionary studies reject the theory of living missing links, because evolution is not a steady march toward more sophisticated organisms. On Reddit, users discuss the real weaknesses of evolution theory, noting that it can make strong interpolation predictions but not strict extrapolations. Christian Courier emphasizes that Darwin admitted the lack of transitional fossils is the most serious objection. Williams Sites discusses the dark side of Darwinism, noting that Darwin's theory has racist elements. New research from SciTech Daily shows that Darwin's fear was unwarranted, as the fossil record is incomplete, but allows effective reconstruction of evolutionary history. Answers in Genesis discusses Schlitzie the Missing Link and early Darwinian sideshow programs. Wikipedia on objections to evolution notes that critics claim evolution is just a theory, emphasizing that scientific theories are never absolute. Pennis addresses Darwin's dilemma with the discovery of the missing Precambrian record of life. Catholic culture examines evolution, the missing link, providing a history of evolutionary thought and explaining the theory. NCSE argues that transitional fossils are not rare. Answers in Genesis provides evidence against evolution, arguing that evolution cannot occur based on scientific observations. Live Science defends Darwin's theory as one of the most solid theories. The Darwin Project lists 6 things Darwin never said. YouTube has mathematical challenges to Darwin's theory. Nevertheless, modern science still regards evolution as the foundation for human origins. But if we look deeper, are we overlooking other possibilities? Let's think about the human body, a masterpiece of intricacy. From cell structure to the immune system, everything is so perfect that it's hard to believe it's a product of randomness. This reminds me of a famous anecdote between 2 great scientists, Isaac Newton and Edmund Halley. Halley, famous for calculating the orbit of Halley's comet, was Newton's close friend but an atheist. One day, Halley visited Newton and saw an exquisite model of the solar system that Newton had crafted. At the center was a gold-plated sun, with planets orbiting harmoniously with just a crank pull. Halley admired it and asked, "Who created this wonderful model? Newton replied, "No one. It was just random materials colliding to form it." Halley vehemently objected, insisting that a genius must have made it. At that moment, Newton patted his friend's shoulder and said, "This model, though intricate, is nothing compared to the real solar system. If you believe someone created it, then the solar system, which is hundreds of millions of times more complex, must surely have been created by an omnipotent God." Halley suddenly awakened and began to believe in the existence of God. This story is not just a philosophical argument, but reflects the views of many scientists. The universe and life are too perfect to be products of chance. If a monkey played the piano randomly for millions of years, could it play Beethoven's symphony? Modern science sometimes applies similar logic to human origins, viewing life as a result of probability. But that probability is so small it's almost impossible. Now let's move to newer hypotheses. In the book Humans Are Not From Earth, by Dr. Ellis Silver, an American ecologist, he argues that humans did not evolve on Earth. Silver points out a series of biological weaknesses, proving we don't belong to this planet. First, humans are too fragile in Earth's environment. We get sunburned after just a few hours in the sun, while other species like lizards can bask all day without issue. Silver suggests our skin was designed for a planet with a thicker ozone layer or less UV radiation. Next, chronic back pain, a common issue in modern humans. Silver claims this is because we evolved in a place with lower gravity than Earth, so our spines haven't fully adapted. Then there's the size of newborns' heads. The baby's head is too large for the mother's pelvis, leading to difficult births, even death, something rare in other animal species. Silver compares, if we evolved naturally on Earth, why isn't our body more optimized? Another interesting point. The human biological clock seems designed for a 25-hour day, not Earth's 24 hours. Studies show that when isolated from sunlight, our sleep-wake cycle extends to 25 hours. Additionally, humans suffer from many chronic diseases like diabetes, cancer, and allergies, much higher than other species. We also don't adapt well to wild foods. Many natural plants are toxic to us, while animals eat them without harm. Silver concludes, humans may be immigrants from another planet, brought here by an advanced civilization. He even suggests the original planet might have lower gravity, longer days, and less UV. This sounds like science fiction, but it explains why we feel out of place on Earth. As Silver says, many people feel Earth is not their home. Let's expand on Silver's book. In a summary from Brief, the main argument is that humans did not evolve on Earth, but were brought from another planet. On Reddit, users discuss the book, noting that Silver encourages proving and disproving the theory. LinkedIn reviews the book, stating that evidence suggests humans are not native to Earth. New Age Islam quotes the book, questioning how we got here and if we are aliens. Shortform provides a PDF summary, discussing hypotheses about the original planet's characteristics. Goodreads describes the book as examining evidence around us. Quora asks if you agree with Silver that we were placed here by aliens. Barnes & Noble and Amazon sell the book, emphasizing Silver's exploration. Shortform summarizes, presenting an alternative theory. Quora discusses Silver's purpose, noting he selects evidence for his hypothesis. Brief describes Silver as garnering attention in conspiracy circles. Alien Element quotes the book, claiming aliens placed humans here recently. YouTube has a podcast summarizing the book. Script reviews pointing out physiological traits as evidence. To support this hypothesis, let's look at DNA. A study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, PNAS, shows that about 8% of human DNA is from ancient viruses, genetic code segments extraterrestrial, in the sense not from local evolution. These are endogenous retroviruses, possibly from space via panspermia, the theory that life spreads through meteorites. Some scientists even suspect they contain cosmic information we haven't decoded yet. Though not alien DNA like in Hollywood movies, it suggests our origins are more complex than we think. Now, let's explore panspermia in more detail. Panspermia is the hypothesis that seeds of life exist throughout the universe and can spread through space. There are 3 stages: escape from a planet, transit through interplanetary space, and landing on another planet. Science Direct defines panspermia as the hypothesis that seeds of life spread through space. EBSCO explains that panspermia proposes life on Earth came from microorganisms or precursors from space. Astrobiology discusses material-based panspermia, the potential of polymer gels. Azo Life Sciences explains the hypothesis proposing life came to Earth from space via comets or meteorites. Reddit discusses panspermia as the theory that life didn't develop on Earth but came from space. Paleo Electronica links Mars, panspermia, and the origin of life. Astronomy.com explains panspermia suggests seeds of life already existed in the universe and came to Earth. Sky at Night magazine defines panspermia as the theory that life was brought by meteorites, comets, or asteroids. Now, let's talk about extraterrestrials and UFOs. In recent years, thousands of UFO reports have astonished the scientific community. These objects appear and disappear without a trace, surpassing human technology by hundreds of times. For example, US pilots report UFOs moving at supersonic speeds without sonic booms, or changing direction abruptly without inertial forces. The Pentagon even acknowledges concerns about technical supremacy from extraterrestrials. But despite their superior technology, alien bodies seem less perfect than humans. According to some reports, they are frail and dependent on technology. Let's examine recent UFO reports in 2025. NewsNation reports over 2,000 UFO sightings in the first half of 2025. YouTube explores ancient theories about time travelers among us. Another YouTube discusses the evolution of UFO and alien conspiracy theories globally. GSDVS explores the latest UFO phenomena in 2025. IFL Science notes the number of people believing aliens have visited us is increasing. Here's the English translation of your text, keeping the academic and philosophical tone. The limitations of human awareness of the truth of human origin. Human awareness of the truth about the origins of mankind across nations of the world remains limited. At present, researchers do not yet fully understand the relationship between writing and speech in linguistics, nor do they properly grasp many related concepts such as origin, truth, humankind, development. They also lack clarity regarding the connection between climate and human existence. Environments that are excessively hot are linked with the fact that humans did not originate and could not develop there. Excessively cold environments are linked with the fact that humans had not yet originated and had not yet developed there, while temperate environments are associated with the truth that humans did originate and develop. This limited awareness of the truth of human origin has led researchers to fail to distinguish clearly the relationship between the unreal nature of the phenomenon of vitality, in which the individual human neither originates nor develops in the future, the not yet real essence of the entity of life, in which collective humanity had not yet originated and had not yet developed in the past, and the real truth of the actuality of life, in which human society originates and develops in the present. This can be modelled as past, life not yet originated, not yet developed; present, life originated and developed; future, vitality neither originated nor developed. In other words, researchers failed to distinguish between the not yet real essence of life, the unreal nature of vitality, and the real truth of actual human life. This aligns with what Einstein once remarked shortly before his death. "I want to go when I want, prolonging life artificially is tasteless. This limited awareness of the truth of human origin also leads to misunderstanding of the causes behind phenomena such as the Earth spinning faster, whether this results from surface warming or signals the onset of a new global heating era caused by humanity's uncultured impact, making global average temperature temporarily exceed the threshold of 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. It also prevents researchers from answering the question, "Who am I?" leaving humanity for many years to live in darkness and ignorance, in greed, hatred and cruelty, in violence, war, destruction of the environment, and harm to one another. This limited awareness of the truth of human origin has resulted in errors such as the theory of struggle for survival, the strong over the weak in Darwin's theory of evolution, in the mistaken belief of some researchers that humans on Earth originated from another world in the universe, and in persistent disputes over whether human evolution began in Africa. To correctly perceive the truth of human origin, it is necessary to fully understand the truth of the word human, a term that encompasses its essential aspects as follows. The form of human corresponds with the unreal nature of the phenomenon of individual vitality within society. The content of human corresponds with the not yet real essence of the entity of life, of groups within nature. The key principle of human corresponds with the real truth of the actuality of life of individuals, groups, communities and nations within human society. This can be modelled as the not yet real essence of group life in nature, the real truth of actual life of individuals, groups and communities of nations in human society, the unreal nature of the phenomenon of individual vitality within society. In other words, correct awareness of the truth of human origin is inseparable from a clear understanding of the truth of the word human. Humanity is inseparable from truth. Without understanding the truth of the word human, one cannot truly recognize the truth of human origin. Nature examines expert figures in alien-related UFO conspiracy theories. ETV Bharat explores World Contact Day 2025 with war, chaos, and multiple UFO sightings. YouTube has Da Vinci's hidden alien messages decoded. TikTok explores the clearest UFO footage in 2025. SCMP provides the latest news on UFOs and extraterrestrial life. YouTube has the top 5 UFO sightings that shock the world for World UFO Day 2025. Britannica provides history, sightings, and facts about UFOs. Science Focus lists UFOs that scientists think are real but can't explain. Science News notes scientists getting serious about UFOs. Wikipedia on UFO conspiracy theories links cover-ups with abductions and more. YouTube has the God vs. UFOs documentary. Live now from Fox notes, aliens may be living among us disguised as humans, according to Harvard. Reddit debates if all alien sightings are fake. NewsNation discusses a hidden UFO civilization could be on Earth. Pennsylvania State University examines a book on the history of UFOs. An interesting story from China. The old monk Huang Yusheng, who practiced from a young age in Jinan, Shandong. After achieving enlightened wisdom, he communicated with an extraterrestrial being coded a K5T. According to him, hundreds of millions of years ago, Earth was the home of aliens with advanced technology, but the environment was harsh, without oceans or flora and fauna. Then a major event occurred. A loud explosion shook the heavens, 7 colored auras and higher beings, like gods, appeared. They relocated all aliens to another planet with just a wave of the hand. After that, Earth was remodeled, with oceans, plants, animals, and humans became the new masters. As humanity creates new beliefs and gods for future generations, who in thousands of years might tell tales of a god named OnlyFans or God X, we must coexist with today's gods as they bicker. What will you believe in? the new gods and their devious games, or the old gods no one remembers? In the distant future, new gods may fade and concepts like money or social media may vanish. But we live in a world where humans still believe in new gods, deluding themselves that there are awakened see-no gods. So, like it or not, we must play this cunning game of sly deities. That was the story of gods, the birth of myths, and the existence of new gods in today's world. Do you believe in the new god of money, or do you think money is real and beyond this cunning god's control? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to never miss a future video. Thank you for listening and see you next time. Peace.